Welcome to Nagasaki. Welcome to another of my occasional series of just flying videos, where there's no point, no purpose, and it's just me having a flight and chatting about things that spring into my head, having a rant or whatever, and takes my fancy, really. Now, as I did once mention that I was doing a bit of flying in Japan now, somebody, I think it was Andy, said that maybe I could do a Japanese flight video. So, here you go. We'll have a trip from RJFU Nagasaki to RJFK Kagoshima. And only in the Islander, so we'll start at this intersection. We certainly don't need all of the runway here. Not going to use ATC or anything, and looking at the map, there doesn't appear to be any of Traffic Global's aircraft on the way in, so we're good to go. After the South Fjorden tour and now the challenging landing series, which I'm in the middle of. Seems kind of weird to have all this flat asphalt to use. We're up. Everything's sorted. Got my moving map, which will be my main navigational tool. Although I have got a couple of VOR frequencies at the ready. First is for RJDA Amakusa Airfield, which is not far away and pretty much on our flight path anyway. And then I've also got the VOR at our destination Kagoshima, just in case the weather turns this into an IFR flight, although I think we'll be okay. It's not looking too bad for cloud and visibility, is it? So I've got this Japanese ortho, started using it, and there's definitely a different feel about this place compared to New Zealand. It's nice to have a change once in a while. And as you'll see en route, there's the buildings are very different to NZ, and there's a lot of little cubed boxes rather than apex roofed houses, so you have no idea how realistic all that is to actual Japan, as I've never been there, but that means if it is totally wrong, then I don't know, so my ignorance works in my favour here, and I'm happy enough with the look of it. It looks nice out of the window, so that's good. And the other major change compared to flying in NZ is the ortho, because instead of large areas of grass and farmland once you're getting away from towns and villages, there's a lot of little rectangular fields here, and I'm guessing they're rice paddies, but I don't know, but again it doesn't really matter. It's just visually different to what I'm used to flying over with doing the majority of my simming in NZ. So I'm still spending more time in New Zealand than I am here, but once in a while it's a nice change, as it does look and feel very different. Also in Japan as well, there's quite a lot of square edges on the coastline with it's obviously reclaimed land. That's another strikingly visually different thing. So I had fun on Saturday. YouTube trolls. Now I know what some of you are thinking. They're just trolls, Daz. They don't matter. But no. I like trolls. I want more of them. They're fun to play with. Yep, especially because rather than going with their bait, so to speak, what I enjoy doing is engaging in an adult conversation and treating them as if they are intelligent adults. And doing that, they quickly discover they're either not intelligent, not an adult, or frequently both, and then rage quit, which is something I find really funny. So I had one on Saturday in the comments of the latest challenging landing video. A troll is probably the wrong word, I don't know. Sort of keyboard warrior type who feels a bit smug or more superior. Anyway, the comment was, "It's a pity that you never title the videos here with the names of the scenery, so that only the scenery in question can be downloaded if you are interested." Oh, that was just fantastic. Any comment that starts with a nice passive-aggressive, "It's a pity that..." Oh, that was just going to be fun. So, my reply. As I name the scenery in the video, post the link of where you can get this and all my other scenery in the description, host and keep up to date all that stuff in the mega folder for people to download and do all that totally free of charge. I was thinking that when I said it was NZD61 in South Fiordland, I'd probably done enough and people would realise that it's NZD61 in South Fiordland. However, if you are finding it to be a bit of a challenge for you to work out, then perhaps simply ask me the question, and you'll then find that I'll be happy to clearly and politely give people as much assistance as I can. But rest assured, after choosing to post your enlightening comment instead of that, I will now be spending the next few days reflecting on my shortcomings. So on behalf of both myself and King Allen, my bathroom spider, we thank you for your most valuable input. Although talking of questions, my turn now. And why exactly do you think it's a pity, and a pity for whom? Genuinely, I'm interested in an answer to that because I strongly suspect there is some flawed reasoning going on there. And if that is the case, then the same erroneous epistemology is likely to present in areas away from YouTube comments, and assuming you possess the intelligence to have an honest conversation about it with me, then we can slowly work on that and could potentially improve your life skills. So yeah, let's start with, why is it a pity, and a pity for whom? Yeah, don't bother looking for the comment, by the way. Challenging him to actually defend and explain what he said was clearly way more than he could handle, so he deleted his comment. And my subscriber numbers went down by 1 at the same time, so it's probably a fair guess that was him too, which is brilliant. Kind of made my evening that he got so frightened of having a conversation like a grown-up that he ran away. I doubt he'll ever see this or watch anything of mine ever again, but just on the off chance, the question still stands. If you ever did want to pop back into my comments again and answer it, that will be great. Although I won't hold my breath waiting. The flights here tend to be a bit longer than my New Zealand ones, simply because the airports are spaced much further apart. With making all the NZ scenery, I tried to fill in the gaps where I could, and I've even created 1 or 2 fake airfields to do that. that flying a smaller and slower GA aircraft, if you just had half an hour to spare, you could probably take a flight and land at 2 or 3 airfields along the way. And let's face it, landing's the most fun bit. That's kind of why I did it. Here in Japan, the distances are much greater, so the flights are longer, and that's just a thing to get used to. I'm not going to do any Japanese scenery, so it is what it is, and that's not going to change. Let's say I'll never do it, but I think it's highly unlikely that I'll ever make anything for Japan, or even do a 30-second fixes to things. I'm just going to leave it alone. New Zealand started with just fixing a small number of runways, and look what happened over there for the next few years. I've no wish to start again on a whole new country, and there is a realistic chance that if I tweak 1 or 2 things, I'll then think, well, I'll just fix this thing at a different airfield as well, and maybe I'll do this bit too, and that will be it. I'll be back into full scenery making mode again. I did enjoy doing that in X-Plane 11, but X-Plane 12, it's more about me enjoying flying to airports rather than making them. So no Japanese scenery. There's some errors and some things that could be better, but I'll just live with those. That's fine. So it's not going to impact my enjoyment of flying around the country, or most of the country. Because we all have our preferences, and to me, having lots of 3D stuff on the ground is important. I mean, just look at my New Zealand scenery. I don't just make the airfields, but also do plenty of stuff in the surrounding areas to fill in the gaps and put in my own houses and other buildings where the overlay might have missed them out. And with NZ, even the big cities are not huge sprawling metropolises, so my computer could just about handle that and have high graphic settings. Same thing applies in Japan too, where I'm not going to turn my settings down, but that does mean that Tokyo is pretty much off limits. There's too much going on there, and my PC isn't quite good enough for that. But no worries, there's plenty of other places to fly in Japan, so I can live with that. I know some people like the silky smooth experience and sacrifice some graphics to get that, or high frame rates. Personally, I prefer my computer being right on the edge, even though it's not as smooth. Getting 20 or 30 frames per second and having lots to look at is more important than stutter-free 40 or 50 frames, but with some stuff missing on the ground to get that. But that's what the sliders are for, isn't it? We can all have what we want, and for me, I've still got 95% of Japan to play with. I don't know what you lot are like, by the way, but food. When I get up, sometimes I have breakfast in the morning, sometimes I don't. Just depends how I feel. Then for the rest of the day, I'll usually have snacks, maybe a sandwich, and just one big meal. Now most of the time that's usually an evening meal, but occasionally I'm really hungry earlier, lunchtime or whatever, so I'll have a full-size meal then, and the evening will just be a few smaller things to snack on, and I'll do it that way round. A bit of autopilot. Yes, I'm having one of those days today, and just before setting off on this flight, I've just polished off a lasagna, which was very nice indeed. I'm going to have a sit in the back and relax. Although lasagna is something that always reminds me of my mother. She was, let's say, less than adventurous with food. Her main staple was boiling vegetables until they had no flavour left whatsoever, and that was perfect for her. Anything foreign, that was a complete no-go. Now, I was born in 1967, so growing up in the 70s and 80s, the world of food did start to expand in the UK, and we got things like Chinese restaurants opening up and Indian restaurants and that kind of thing. And my mum never went in any of them, but I did, and it was lovely. Then on top of that, supermarkets began to stock assorted foreign meals in packets, and with a bit of encouraging from me, my mother did start buying some of those. She hardly ever ate one herself, but my dad and me, we got to have a treat of something different occasionally. Now, I'd probably be 16 or 17 years old at the time, and came home to the announcement from my mum that tonight we're having lasagnage. That did take a minute to work out, but when I saw it, it was no, Mum, it's called lasagna, not lasagnage, lasagna. Lasagna. So a bit of time goes by, come home again. It's lasagnage for dinner tonight. No, Mum, lasagna. Not lasagnage, lasagna. A few more weeks passed. Yeah, we've got some lasagnage for dinner. Lasagnage. Yeah, great. I like lasagnage. That's fantastic. Cheers. So for the rest of her life, we occasionally had lasagnage for dinner. And in a quiet corner of my mind, I still call it that now. So the lasagnage I had an hour or so ago was very nice indeed. I enjoyed that. I'm fed up of being a passenger now, so back to the front seat. Although if there was a passenger simulator, I'm sure some idiot would buy it. As there is some weird shit out there, like power washing simulator. I've seen there's even a PC building simulator. There's obviously a market for those kind of things, but they do leave me scratching my head of who plays those type of games. Okay, I'm in a simulator now too, but I'm flying an islander across Japan. A bit later I might decide to fire up something else and drive a race car around the Silverstone circuit, or it's basically simulating all the things that I can't do in real life. But a PC building simulator? Just go down to a local computer shop and ask if they'll teach you. It'd probably be cheaper too, because that PC building game has lots of download content. And if you bought it all, it's a similar price to buying X-Plane. The weird simulator stuff, I suppose that also happens in real life. I like aviation, so radio-controlled planes, that sounds fun. Yet never done it, but I can certainly see the appeal. And same with people who have things like model railways, and creating all the layout and the scenery and making it look nice. So, I can see why people would consider that to be a good and interesting hobby. Maybe less interesting in my mind is radio-controlled boats, because, I'm sure it can be enjoyable doing the modelling part and making your boat, but then when it comes to using it, it's a small-scale vehicle operating on full-scale water, and that never looks good in my opinion. But that's not a concern for the sort of people who do actually exist and have radio-controlled submarines. Now, you launch your submarine, you get your submarine to dive, and then what? You can't see it underwater. It isn't the pleasure of radio controlled stuff actually watching the thing that you're controlling? Perhaps I'm missing something, but a radio controlled submarine? I don't know. Maybe if you're the kind of person who can't work out that a video about NZD61 in South Fiordland is referring to NZD61 in South Fiordland, well, perhaps it makes perfect sense then to have a radio controlled submarine, but I'm just not seeing it. Although I suppose actually not seeing it is the problem in the first place, isn't it? But yeah, such is life, whatever makes you happy, I suppose. And as I mentioned earlier about airline passenger sim, in a couple of weeks there will be no simulating that at all, as I'll be doing it for real. Yeah, off to see my good friends Colin and Jen, who are the couple who live in Spain. Be a nice week of food, drink, golf, generally having fun, and most likely much better weather too, so I'm looking forward to that. It's currently raining here, and my warmer winter clothing has been in use for a while now. And having been to Spain at this time of year before, okay, it's usually not wander around in just a pair of shorts weather, but it's certainly an improvement on what I've got right now in England. Yeah, looking forward to that. And well there, I know Colin and Jen have already got a few restaurant ideas sorted, but hopefully one night we can go to an Italian restaurant too, because rather than one out of a packet, an authentic and freshly cooked lasagnage, that's always a bit of a treat. Yeah, well, though, hopefully I'll be flying to Spain anyway, because currently Iceland is getting ready to volcanically erupt, according to what I've been seeing. And the last time they had a volcano go off there, it shut down the airspace across large areas of Europe for a while. Yeah, apparently airlines don't like to fly their planes through volcanic ash clouds, as it kills the engines. Or they have to pay the cleaners overtime due to the excess dust that they have to clean up. It's something like that, one of those two. I remember once seeing quite a nice documentary on that it was a British Airways 747 that flew through a volcanic ash cloud in early 1980s. And I believe that was the first time they discovered that volcanoes and jet engines were not a good mix. I can't remember, possibly a Mentor pilot video that I saw about it. Sounds like the thing Petter would have done on his YouTube channel, but God knows. Quite an interesting story though, if you didn't know about it. It's worth looking up. And as a little aside, I'm sure most people watching this video will be aware of Petter and his YouTube channel called Mentor Pilot. But if by some chance you didn't know, then it's highly recommended, and there's some really good aviation stuff. And all from a guy who knows what he's talking about, as he's a Ryanair 737 training captain. My other two regulars are one with the Blancalerio channel and Kelsey with his channel 74 Gear. Though again, both of them are actual pilots, and I find the stuff they put out to be quite interesting a lot of the time. As for other bits of the internet I enjoy, I must admit I do have a soft spot for people having debates with flat earthers. It's just incredible people believe that, but they genuinely do. Some of them anyway. I guarantee you at least some of the more prominent flat earthers know that they're talking bullshit. But the flat earth community gives them fame and validation and possibly even a bit of cash, so I'm sure in some cases they're just keeping up the pretense. But within that community there are plenty of people who are so gullible that they do actually believe it, which is kind of scary. We've had millions of years of evolution, but recently I'm sure the human race has started unevolving at a faster rate now. I'm genuinely not hopeful for the long-term future of the human race as we know it. As if you look at how pathetically the world managed to work together to combat COVID, in the grand scale of things, that was a relatively benign and mild kind of virus. If it had been more serious and more lethal, we'd all be screwed. Climate change, nothing's actually happening beyond virtue signalling of people and governments saying that they will do something. Religion's still making people dumber, causing wars like that in Israel at the moment, which, let's be honest, that's based on a history of two groups of people who have different imaginary friend sky daddies as their deity. I think over the last 20, 30 years maybe, it seems like there's been a decline in respect for other people and more of an attitude of entitlement. And combine that with something the internet has possibly created or at very least aided, is that the truth doesn't seem to be something that people care about. That statement's probably a bit too strong. It's more going back to flat earthers or things like that, where the internet has become such a great place to exercise confirmation bias. And I think the modern world, with all its entitled people and those who think they're superior, if they find someone agreeing with them, they're happy with that because, well, I'm so superior I could never be wrong. Those of us who get out of the comfort zone and the echo chamber and actively seek both sides of an argument, I think we're a dying breed. Because when you do that, occasionally you'll find a belief or a worldview that you held strongly that's wrong. And it takes a certain mentality to deal with that. And I think modern society has created a lot of people who are too fragile to confront opposing arguments. Ones that are clearly better than the argument that they have. I don't know, maybe that's a life skill that needs to be learnt or taught, or maybe that's where we're failing in not teaching that to people. So I'm sure it is a life skill that can be changed if you put in the effort, because I know I've changed in that respect over the years. And okay, I have always been relatively open-minded to different points of view, but there was certainly a time where I'd at least give you a fight for a little while before I finally accepted something. Now, these days I just fully embrace things, and finding out I'm wrong about something is now brilliant. I love being proved wrong, because then it gives me the opportunity to learn something new and not be wrong anymore, and I'm mentally strong enough where it doesn't shatter my ego to find out that I'm fallible and can be incorrect about things. Now, I suppose if you think of the Dunning-Kruger curve, there does seem to be way more people blissfully living at the summit of Mount Stupid than there ever has been. Yeah, that level of stupidity will end society as we know it quite possibly sooner than a lot of people would think. And I can't remember exactly, but I think it was a tsunami from a few years ago where some of the Pacific Islands were really badly hit infrastructure totally destroyed and everything. And for quite a few of the residents of those islands, it wasn't really much of a problem. Just reverted back to old ways, made shelters, lit fires without matches, went fishing to get something to eat, and basically they were just fine for the period of time that it took for things to get repaired and put back again. And I would totally not be surprised that in X amount of years we find society resources collapsing, and it will be the end for millions, probably billions of people. But like with the islanders and the tsunami, some people will have the skills to just carry on, and it will be like a big reset and start again for the human race. Anyway, that was a nice fun thing to talk about, wasn't it? Give me a longer flight and my thoughts do head off in weird tangents sometimes when I'm talking for this long. So, what's it been? Maybe half an hour? I doubt many people are still watching by now, but there's one or two of you who do regularly sit through my full videos, and I do worry about people like you. Although I suppose one of the differences between my videos and others is that by now a lot of creators would have told you at least 10 times to don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the join button and get notifications and sacrifice a goat in my honour. For me, I don't care, just do what you want. My happiness doesn't depend on validation from the number of times random people hit a thumbs up icon. Although if a few more genuine trolls were to subscribe, that would make me happy. There was the It's a Pity guy who I mentioned earlier, and I'm actually now up to 3 times where I've had somebody rage quit and delete an entire comment thread, which has been most amusing. I can see he's off to the left, and I suppose trying to land the plane is going to be the next thing. Looking at the map, there's no large aircraft moving, so we should be okay with not getting in the way of any airliners. There is an icon of a smaller GA aircraft that's heading this way and is probably inbound to Kagoshima as well, but we'll be ahead of him, so that shouldn't affect us either. So, all good for a landing. Bit of turbulence, bit of wind, but after doing plenty of flying in South Fiordland recently, this is an easy day out. Massive flat runway, no problem. As I said, I've got no plans to make any scenery for Japan myself, but I'm happy to download other people's stuff. And this is one of those. No idea who or anything, as I did get it quite a while ago, but it was from the org forum, and if anybody ever wanted a copy, I'm sure you could find it there quite easily. Let's give it a go, because obviously with South Fiordland and bush flying, it's more kind of a throw an aircraft onto the ground and get on the brakes, basically just try and survive. But a large slab of asphalt to land on there. Let's see how smooth and gentle we can make this one. Let's try for a nice landing. The aiming point bars as well. The touchdown zone. So let's go for those thick touchdown markers. Let's go for right at the start of those. and a lovely smooth and gentle touchdown that you'd hardly feel. Let's see how we go. Still getting blown around a little bit with the wind, but really, yeah, not too much of a problem now, is it? Doesn't appear to be anybody taxiing around on the tarmac, so that's good. As with Traffic Global, you can sometimes have an aircraft just pull out onto the runway ahead of you while you're on final. Okay. It's a bit low, come on. Nope, landed a bit early. Pathetic. Total failure. Yeah, I landed quite a lot early there, didn't I? Compared to where I was targeting. Yeah, if that was South Fiordland, that's enough to be landing in a bush or on the side of a cliff or something. But fortunately, this is Kagoshima, where there's lots of long, wide, flat stuff, so it doesn't matter in the slightest. I'll try and get off here because by the look on the map, that is a little GA plane coming in behind us. And light in the middle of the taxiway. Yeah, never mind, don't care, not going to let it worry me. That would be like a 10-second fix, but yep, not going to do it. Quite alright with that. Yeah, I can live with not quite perfect while I'm in Japan. Right, so apron does seem quite full. I think is that first stand, is that open? If it is, we'll go and park there. Yeah, looks like that's okay, isn't it? That gate. Get into that one. Yeah, job done. Oh, welcome to Kagoshima. Yeah, so there we go. Something a bit different. Yeah, Nagasaki to Kagoshima. So next time we'll be back for a bit more New Zealand flying and, well, probably another challenging landing one next time. So, yeah, until then, I'll see you soon. Bye.